Important victory for Real Madrid to get in that first leg, and then obviously 90 minutes, a brilliant performance against Roma. So those are some of the highlights. Of course, in 2018.
For example, আমি অনেকদিন থেকে কন্টেস্টেন্টলি বলছি যে গান বুঝে যদি গান করতে পারো, কথা বুঝে, গানটার মজা আলাদা হয়। আজকে আপনার পারফরমেন্সে আপনি কি সুন্দর বুঝিয়ে বুঝিয়ে কথাগুলো আপনার গান গেয়েছিলেন, ওটা কিন্তু গানটা টাক করে বোঝা যায় যে আচ্ছা এই গানটা এই এক্সপ্রেশন ইজ সামথিং যে আমি চাই স্পেশালি তন্ময় তুমি শেখো। আজকে তোমার পারফরমেন্সটা একটু উইক ছিল দুটো কারণে, স্ট্রাকচারালি অ্যাকচুয়ালি তুমি জাস্ট ফলো করছিলে যেটা সম্পূর্ণ গাইড
Well, so
মেজর পার্ট।
Those big nights after the big Champions League final victories the last 3 years, where the Santiago Bernabeu then fills up again with 80,000 fans, and the fireworks and the fantastic show of pride in the team that the fans actually give as well, and they're quite a spectacle as well, and we just hope that can continue as well into 2019. Of course, next week there's another big title to go for, which is the FIFA Club World Cup, which they've won again the last 2 years. It's perhaps overlooked a little bit, but it's the title of the biggest club in the world at this particular moment in time, which Real Madrid should be favourites to go and win in Abu Dhabi again next week.
Well, Phil, let's talk about one player in particular, Karim Benzema. He's in the starting 11 this afternoon. He knows how it feels to score against Rayo Vallecano. The last time he visited in that 10-2 victory, he scored a hat-trick, and we can expect him to lead the way up front this afternoon.
7 goals in 8 matches against Rayo Vallecano for Karim Benzema. He's got an excellent goal-scoring record against our neighbours from the south of Madrid, and yeah, he'll be looking to add to his tally of 10 goals in all competitions so far this season. Real Madrid, as we were saying, and Dermot's been saying in the studio, the statistics are stacked in Real Madrid's favour. The most impressive one, I think, is that Real Madrid have won each of the last 16 matches against Rayo Vallecano. 16 matches in a row they've beaten Rayo Vallecano, their longest winning streak against any single opponent in La Liga history. So this is Real Madrid's favourite fixture, really, if you want to look at it like that. They've never had such a long winning streak against one particular side. So if you could possibly hand-pick a fixture to end 2018 on, it might be a home game against Rayo Vallecano, given just how strong we've been against our neighbours from the south of the city. You mentioned last time we played here, it was a 10-2 victory against Rayo. The 2 matches before that, we scored 5 goals in each of those as well. So it's 20 goals scored in our last 3 home matches against Rayo. I think we're expecting goals this afternoon, and most of them coming from Real Madrid. Certainly, if you look at the league statistics, it would point to that, with Rayo coming into this round of fixtures having the worst defensive record in the Primera División, and Real Madrid having the best home defensive record in La Liga. Only conceded 3 league goals in this stadium all season. It's an incredibly impressive record. We haven't conceded a goal here under Santiago Solari in La Liga, and we want that to continue. So when I said we're expecting plenty of goals this afternoon, most of them for Real Madrid, well, the statistics would tend to back up that assertion.
To mention another player, Marcus Llorente, his 6th successive start this afternoon in all competitions. He's really been impressing, and Dermot deserves that place in the starting 11 this afternoon.
He does, and you know, for some of the youngsters coming in, it's always hard to break into that Real Madrid first team, of course, because competition is so high, and it seems like he's been around for a number of years now. Well, he has, Marcus Llorente, knocking on the first team door. He's finally got his chance because of injury to Casemiro, and he's really taken it, grasping it with both hands, and he'll be pushing Casemiro now for the rest of the season for the position in the starting 11 in games in whatever competition. He's actually shown to Santiago Solari that he could be trusted, that he could do a very good job in that very difficult role in front of the defence, where he's actually marshalling the midfield, he's putting in the tackles, he's actually breaking up play a lot, and he's maturing as a player. He's getting older now. He's coming into his prime perhaps in the next few years, and that can only be a good thing for Real Madrid. And he's possibly going to be a very big player in the next coming years for the Whites in all competitions.
And to go back to big moments at the Santiago Bernabeu in 2018, 3 new players presented at the Bernabeu this year: Vinicius Junior, Thibaut Courtois and Alvaro Odriozola. Phil, all 3 of those players key additions to the squad.
They are. We could talk about them in just a second. I want to go back to Marcos Llorente, though, because I'm really, really excited about seeing him again for a 6th successive time. Just to back up what Dermot was saying, he's been so impressive in all 6 of the matches he started, and there have been some difficult games as well, and he's come through with flying colours. And it is worth underlining a fact that some Madridistas might know, some might not know: the fact that Marcos Llorente almost literally has Madridista DNA. His father, Paco Llorente, played for over 100 times for this club. His grandfather, Ramon Grosso, one of the great strikers of this club in the 1960s, won the 1966 European Cup, played more than 350 times for Real Madrid. And his great uncle is Paco Gento, who won 6 European Cups. No other player in the history of football has won 6 European Cups as well. So that is the kind of Madridista DNA that Marcos Llorente boasts, and we've been enjoying his performances out on the pitch. So yeah, let's see how he gets on this afternoon. As you were saying, the 3 players that we enjoyed in the summer having their presentations here, I think just to start off by talking about Alvaro Odriozola, he's also flourished, I think, in the last few weeks since Santiago Solari took over. He's scored his first goal. He's got a good run of minutes in the side as well, and he's playing with confidence. And he's only a very young player, turned 23 this week, and he will grow into a very competent fullback. And he actually said, Dani Carvajal is my idol, he's my hero, I look up to him. So to be able to work with him day in, day out and learn from him as well is absolutely brilliant for Alvaro Odriozola. He said there's healthy competition, but they have a fantastic relationship, so it's really great to see 2 relatively young Spanish fullbacks working together for Real Madrid. So positive for Alvaro Odriozola. And we say so many times, when young players sign for Real Madrid, one of the great things for them is that they get to train alongside incredible players day in, day out. It's not just the fact that you're playing for the world's biggest team in this unbelievably magnificent stadium. It's that you work and learn from the best players in the world. So even someone like Toni Kroos, when he joined, he was very young when he joined, but he was playing alongside people like Luka Modric, and he's learned from them. And we're going to see the same, I think, with Alvaro Odriozola as well, learning from Dani Carvajal, who is the best right back in the world. And Vinicius as well. He's a teenager. He's come here to develop and to learn and to progress, and playing alongside players of the caliber of Gareth Bale and Karim Benzema. Vinicius will learn. So yeah, it is very important for young players to come to Real Madrid, because this is the best footballing school in the world when you're training week in, week out with these world-class players.
Vinicius Junior, just 18 years old. We've already seen some moments of pure magic, pure Brazilian magic from him this season.
Well, he's one of those players that excites you when he gets the ball, because you don't know what he's going to do. And I think it's important to remember that he's so young. He's come from the other side of the world, from a different football, from Brazilian football, into Real Madrid's squad, which is massively competitive to play in and to get anywhere near the first team anyhow. And he's come in and he's looked the part, and he looks very exciting. And he's only had minutes here in different competitions. He played in the Spanish Cup against Melilla in the 2 games and grabbed a goal. And we may see him come on, as we said before. If Real Madrid can resolve this game early on, in the first hour, you may see 30 minutes from Vinicius today to give something to warm the fans up on a December afternoon with some of those silky Brazilian skills. And he is a very exciting player to watch, and one for the future. But as we've mentioned before, very young still, and he needs time to develop, and he will be given that time and given minutes in this Real Madrid first team.
Well, back to today's game. It is a local derby, less than 10 kilometres separating the two sides, so we should expect a fair few Rayo fans in the stadium too. And Phil, with 20 minutes to go until kick-off, and the players shooting on goal, the atmosphere should be building and the stadium should be filling up nicely.
It is. It's filling up nicely. There are, around about sort of 15 minutes to go before kick-off. It's very cold. It's December. It's Madrid. It's very cold. We've come to expect that, obviously. But I think we should be pretty close to a full house this afternoon. It is the final match of the year in this stadium. People want to come and say goodbye to the team, give them a good send-off before the Club World Cup as well. And I was just looking up ahead. There are a good section of travelling Rayo fans. Not a huge amount, but maybe 200 or 300. They will contribute to a decent atmosphere here this afternoon. Obviously, the idea is for Real Madrid to quieten those travelling fans as soon as possible by getting an early goal and hopefully going on to score a few others as well. But we can't get ahead of ourselves. The most important thing in this most competitive of La Liga seasons is to get 3 points, and we see it week in, week out. The biggest teams in the Primera División are struggling to pick up points against more quote-unquote modest opposition, and I think we've seen the development of the Spanish league over the last few years. It has become incredibly competitive. I know it's a cliche, but there are no easy games. Certainly over the last year and a half, we've seen there are no easy games, and you might think, well, Rayo coming to the Bernabeu, we've scored loads of goals against them in previous years. We've won our last 16 matches against them. They're second bottom in the table. They've only got 10 points from a possible 45. Well, yes, all of that is true, and yet they are capable of giving Real Madrid a good game here this afternoon. So Real Madrid have to be absolutely focused, and I have to just contradict. I don't think there will be any thinking of, right, well, let's get 2 or 3 goals in the first half and then we can maybe make some substitutions. These guys have to come out from the beginning and be 100% committed and not think about getting a 2 or 3 goal lead like that. They know they have to battle against Rayo. This could be a real battle. It would be nice to see another 10 goals here scored against Rayo Vallecano, but the nicest thing, the most important thing, is to get 3 points, because if we keep picking up 3 points, we will stay in the La Liga title race, because sides are going to keep dropping points. We've seen it this afternoon with Atletico Madrid being given a real game against Valladolid this afternoon. It is the most competitive La Liga season that certainly I can remember, perhaps in the last decade. So Real Madrid's number one objective here this afternoon is to pick up 3 points. Then it would be very nice if we can score lots of goals. It would be very nice if we could substitute players and maybe rest them ahead of the Club World Cup. But the number one priority is getting what would be a big, important win in the final game of 2018.
It's been a very busy month of December. This is the 5th game, 2 more to go after this one in 4 different competitions. The team fly to Abu Dhabi straight after this game on Sunday with a chance to lift their first piece of silverware under Santiago Solari.
Well, yes, and it's a nice thing for Santiago Solari to pick up in his first couple of months of coaching the first team, the Club World Cup, and that's the focus next week. As Phil says, 3 points is the important thing here today, to finish the year in style, to keep up the pressure at the top. And remember, Real Madrid, of course, don't play next week. All the rest of the competition, all in the La Liga, will. And that just psychologically, they will drop down the table a little bit. So very important to get 3 points today against a Rayo Vallecano side who we've said are inconsistent. We've said that they're struggling at the bottom. But again, as Phil said, they'll come here looking to try and perhaps frustrate Real Madrid and to try and perhaps defensively stop Real Madrid from getting that early goal. And that's what Real Madrid will want to do. What they need to do really is to look to that performance against Valencia, which for me, we talked before about some of the better performances this year. That league performance against Valencia in the Santiago Bernabeu in the last league game was perhaps the best La Liga performance, certainly this season, of this Real Madrid side. And Real Madrid need to continue down that route today.
Well, we're expecting 3 points. We're hoping for a Real Madrid victory. Phil, just before we leave you there pitch side, what will be key to a victory this afternoon?
Just before I give you my thoughts, the heavens are beginning to open, so one or two spots of rain are beginning to fall. I don't know if we're going to have rain, heavy rain throughout the game, but one or two spots of rain. But the surface is looking absolutely brilliant, and perhaps a little bit of rain will make it nice and slick for Real Madrid's quick passing game. Rayo Vallecano defensively have not been very good this season. They've had a lot of defensive lapses. They have looked shaky and they have looked vulnerable. An early goal from Real Madrid, and we say it almost every week, but an early goal against this Rayo Vallecano side, and I think Real Madrid could go on and get an important win. But we've seen teams come here and frustrate Real Madrid. I just don't know if Rayo are defensively organised enough to deal with Real Madrid's firepower this afternoon. But let's see how Real Madrid start the match. We know that the manager wants them to come out and show intensity right from the first minute. The fans want that as well. So hopefully we'll see them make a big performance and take advantage of their chances as well, because against Valencia, the first half was arguably, as Dermot said, the best performance we've seen here this season. But it was only 1-0 at half-time. We want Real Madrid to come out today, and if they can dominate, we need to see them take their chances as well, and if possible, build up a big lead.
And a score prediction, Phil?
I'll go for 3-0, but maybe 1-0 at half-time and then 2 goals in the second half. But yeah, I think Real Madrid can keep a clean sheet here today and keep up that very impressive defensive home record in La Liga.
Thank you very much, Phil. We'll see you in the mix zone after the game. Phil Kitchmanides speaking there. He's expecting 3 goals and a clean sheet for Real Madrid. That'll be a pretty good scoreline this afternoon.
Well, we mentioned previous scorelines. The last game 3 years ago was 10-2, and Phil mentioned there was a 5-0, a 5-1. There was a 6-2 as well about 4 or 5 games ago against Rayo Vallecano. They played 18 times in the Santiago Bernabeu. Real Madrid have won 15. They've only drawn twice. Rayo Vallecano have only won once. That was 22 years ago. It was a big shock. I'd go for 3 or 4 goals as well. I'll go for 4, and maybe Rayo grabbing one as well, 4-1.
Well, as always, Madridistas have been sending us in tweets from all over the world with their messages of support for the team ahead of this afternoon's game against Rayo Vallecano. So let's take a look at those tweets now that Madridistas have sent in. The first one says, it says, happy 71st birthday to the Santiago Bernabeu. Greetings from the Peña Real Madrid in Indonesia. The Santiago Bernabeu celebrated its 71st birthday this week. The next one says, let's end the year strong. Ala Madrid from Pakistan with love. Mohammed from Sweden predicting a 4-0 victory for Real Madrid. So pretty similar to your prediction,
similar to both Phil and myself, yeah.
A must-win to keep the La Liga hopes alive before going to the Club World Cup. Ala Madrid from